May 29th, 2017. Um, I know you probably seen the video I put up, just what I took on, I think it was the 26th of May. And you can see they've stepped up their cloaking measures. It's very, very difficult to get these any type of photo now. It's like the sun is so bright, and I'll slip a couple of the pictures in just to show you how bright the sun is without any lighting filters. And it's they're doing something up there. They're adding more to it. And right before, I'm gonna play an interview at the end of this talk, and right before the interview, I'll slip in the photos of their new security measures of hiding this thing. I think this thing is used for many different things besides a sun simulator, because we know we got the sun simulator. We know there's a spy gear up there for their old military satellite, of hiding it, and that creates a lot. Another thing is, I've told you before, these are like some type of super blimp, and what they're doing is there's this new product out. It's like an LED lighting, but it's made into like a fabric material. It's very durable, and it stretches. I believe that they're using this material, and I told you this thing was held up by blimps or some type of balloon, and I think that's what they're using the material out of, is this LED lighting. So that's how they're making such a big light. And I want to tell you something right now too. In these photos of the sunset, the real sun that we know of, that was here a year and a half ago, is not in any of these photos. I have probably seen the real sun in my photos maybe one or two times, and that's it. It's been a good month and a half since I've seen the actual sun, the real sun. And even when I got it, it was so faint. It didn't even look like our sun. It was yellow, but it was really faint. So don't think the sun is in any of these photos. I'm not telling you what to think. I'm not telling you what to believe. What I am telling you is what I see. I'm just reporting what I see and the photos I take. I study these a lot, because I'm making the videos, and when I go through the photos after taking them, I look at them very closely, and I determine which ones I'm going to keep and which one I'm going to get rid of. And I'm really pretty picky about it. I want to give you guys the best, so you guys can study it and figure it out for yourself. Like I said, I'm not telling you what to believe. What I'm telling you is what I see. So, I leave the comments up because everybody needs to voice their opinion. I don't care if they're really stupid comments or good comments. I'm not responding to any comments, so please don't be offended. I'm having some issues, technical issues, I guess you could say. I've already lost a good portion of my photos again, and dealing with a wiped out computer. Luckily, I had recently picked up another, it was like an older laptop I bought used that was like, restored, but I had to set it all up and everything, malware and antiviruses and stuff like that. So, there's been a little short delay in uploading videos. I apologize for that. And I really want you guys to consider what they're saying in this interview. I believe, like I was saying, I believe this has multi-uses, and another use is weather modification, and I think this may be also like a hub for like a weather control center, basically. And I do believe there's government possibly, or you know, there's people up there working, human people. And this isn't alien in any way, shape, or form. The technology, I'm not 100% on where they got it. I see a lot of old school technology and a lot of new school technology. And these weather modification tools they're using, and even like a weather reading tool that they sent up in balloons back in the 50s and 60s, were so sensitive to radio waves. If these balloons were near people that were, I hate to use the word psychic, but with more of an open, awake mind, I guess. You're more sensitive to things, and you also, whatever you put in, you always take out. The positive and negative energies, and these things were picking up on that. That's how sensitive these weather tools they were using, and they picked up on it real quick. The U.S. government picked up on it real quick and started doing studies with it, and that they're gonna get more technical in this interview, and that's why I've been playing pieces of this interview. I've played a piece of it before. It's the same interview, so really take in consideration what they're using. They're talking about a time in 1983. The interview's in 89, and all this stuff has already come and passed, and it's all been verified, and that's why I'm playing you that. I try to show you, and if I play something like an interview or put some type of documentary up, I'm doing that for a reason, because there's important information that relates to this. So y'all take care. I'll be posting another video. I'm gonna stick some photos of the super blimps they have, this new technology. I'm gonna show you some of Germany's pictures of their sun simulator that they were working on, that they're showing to the public. And I'm going to show you a little section. You'll see part with these little balls. They look like little LED lights all sewn together. That I believe is the fabric they're using. And I'll try to get you more information on this LED fabric that I believe they're using in their blimps, balloons, whatever you want to call them. And remember, this is in our atmosphere, 100%. I know for a fact. I use a rangefinder, and I also, when I use like a high-powered lens, like even like a 15 times 32 or 32 times 50, it is way too strong for me to even get a decent photo of it because it's just too big. I'm using small 8 times zoom lenses and 12 times zoom lenses, and even at times the 12 times zoom lens is too much, and I get a range just under a mile with these lenses, so it's not very far from me. Like I said, I'm not telling you what to think, I'm not telling you what to believe, I'm just reporting what I see and the photos I take. I study these anywhere from 2 to 4 hours a day, 6 days a week. So I got a pretty good idea of what it is and what's going on. I want you to really understand and pay attention and research this weather modification stuff. Listen to this interview very closely. Y'all take care. Until next video.
And Dr. Von Neumann and all his associates, this was long before any of us were involved in it, started to replicate this thing. Out of the Phoenix One, the early project, came the stealth technology, which I cannot talk about. Now, neither of these two guys would talk about the stuff technology that I cannot talk about because of my job. And also came out all sorts of energetic little toys, such as radio songs. What is a radio song? Well, if you remember all back when we were kids, we saw these little white plastic boxes that had a white bottle hanging down on it, that they connected to a little red parachute, filled up a balloon with helium, connected the whole thing up in the atmosphere at once. The government told us, hey, this thing is a weather data package. It has a temperature sensor, has a humidity sensor, and it has a pressure sensor in it. And this thing will ultimately transmit temperature data, humidity data, temperature data, reference data. And the switching was controlled by the barometric pressure at the height by what they call the baro switch. This thing used a very unusual type of pulse modulation. In most cases, they used a CW, continuous wave oscillator, and pulsed the thing off. The pulse was pulsing it off. This turned out to be a very efficient conversion of electrical energy to etheric energy. Now, I very recently started collecting radio songs. I don't know why, but I did. I walked in with a radio song, and one of the associates at Space-Time Laboratory says, things are a weather control device. So, of course, that piqued my interest. I'd already known that the humidity sensor was terrible. Its accuracy was a lot to be desired. I'd known the temperature sensor was terrible, and its accuracy had a lot to be desired. And the other unusual thing that I wondered about is, yeah, I can get all the radio sounds I want. I've never, ever seen a receiver for them. So, we first did a quote-unquote psychic reading. The Space-Time Laboratories, everybody uses CAD, computer-aided design, but Space-Time Laboratories, we use psychic-aided design. So we had a number of different psychics read on the radio song. Weather control device, doorbuster, orgone enhancer. That's the readings that came through. So I got very interested, and I started to ask around about radio songs. The next thing I found out by word of mouth is these things were designed at Brookhaven National Laboratories up in Long Island, New York, just up the road from this place. And I started to talk to people I know at Brookhaven. Ran across a retired gentleman from Brookhaven who wishes to remain nameless, so I won't name him, he'll stay anonymous. He told me that the design was originally done by a character by the name of Wilhelm Reich. Of course, that piqued my interest even more. Wilhelm Reich. The story goes that in about 47, Mr. Reich handed the U.S. government a weather control device, a little package that would do door busting. He felt that if he could reduce the amount of door and increase the orgone in the storm wouldn't be violent, it wouldn't have winds, and it wouldn't do the damage. It would be a less violent storm.
What is the DOR?
Deadly orgone. Dead orgone. That's the bad stuff.
And where does that come from?
No one really knows where it comes from. I've heard a number of theories. Well, essentially, orgone can be considered like life energy, energy from life forces, energy from living beings. Dead orgone is same type of energy but dead. It doesn't have any life in it. It has a tendency to decrease life functions. It reduces life functions. So the government took this little widget that Mr. Reich handed them. He told them, put it on a balloon, send it up. Of course, they put a parachute on it. They didn't want the thing coming down with a big, loud, crashing bang through somebody's skylight, and the government gets sued for all sorts of money. And they send the thing up into a bad storm, and it gets reduced in intensity tremendously. So the government goes back to Reich and says, hey, we like this thing. So they launch another part of the Phoenix Project where they design these radio songs. This is almost like a little subsection of this, by the way, this story. Now, of course, I dug further and further into it. As I already noted, I talked of the receiver. There are instances where we know they launch these things from every boat at sea, every airport, every weather station. They launch them from planes. At one point in the 50s, there must have been maybe 200 to 500 of these things launched every day. The radio range, being a radio person, I can tell you about that. I checked it. The radio range on these transmitters, even up in the air, maybe is 100 miles. So that means when they launch one of these frequencies, there has to be a receiver close by. They're going to send up a data transmitter and now have, they have to have a receiver. That means if they're sending 200 or more of these things up each day, it's got to be one pile of receivers. These receivers should be very common. Now, I happen to be a receiver collector. I have over 100 receivers in my personal collection of receivers. I have never seen a radio sound receiver. I've heard them, but I've never seen one. I got almost every other receiver that was used in the 40s and the 50s by the military.
I have a question. What is the center frequency without modulation on the radio sound transmitter?
403 megahertz and 1680 megahertz. They use two different frequencies.
They're both on simultaneously?
Huh?
They're both on simultaneously?
No, it's one or the other.
One for primary and one for secondary?
No, it's one transmitter or the other transmitter that's in the package. The early ones are on 403. The later ones,
exactly?
oh, plus or minus 2 megahertz. And the later ones are on 1680, plus or minus about